Olivia Dean strolled through the gleaming corridors of the upscale mall, the soft chatter of shoppers and the distant hum of classical music filling the air. She clutched her tote bag, dressed in a simple white blouse and well-worn jeans, attire chosen more for comfort than style. The elegant displays of designer goods shimmered under the bright lights, and for a moment, Olivia felt out of place amid the polished marble floors and lavish storefronts. Yet, she had reasons to be here, important reasons that made her visit more than a casual stroll. The afternoon sun streamed through the skylights, casting warm patches of light on the crowd. Olivia's calm was tinged with a quiet unease as she passed one boutique after another, noticing the sharp, scrutinizing glances she attracted. It wasn't just her outfit, there was something about the confidence she carried that seemed to unsettle certain patrons and staff. Near the entrance of a high-end designer store, Carla, the store manager, stood observing. Carla was the kind of woman who radiated authority and exclusivity. Her impeccably tailored dress, flawless makeup, and assertive posture left no doubt she was in charge. She took pride in maintaining the boutique's elite reputation, where every visitor had to meet an unspoken standard. Carla's eyes locked onto Olivia with unmistakable suspicion. With a subtle but deliberate approach, she stepped forward, her tone cool and measured. "Excuse me, ma'am, but I don't believe you belong in this area," she said, her voice carrying an edge that stopped Olivia in her tracks. "I think it's best if you leave." Olivia blinked, taken aback by the abruptness and cold judgment in Carla's words. Before she could respond, the sound of footsteps approached briskly. The mall's atmosphere shifted as a tall man appeared beside her, his presence commanding attention. The tension between Olivia and Carla hung thick in the air, unresolved, as eyes turned toward the newcomer. Carla's voice sliced through the ambient noise of the bustling mall like a sharp wind. "I'm going to have to ask you to leave, ma'am," she said with icy certainty. "This is a luxury establishment, and your presence here isn't appropriate. You don't seem to fit the clientele we want to accommodate." She gestured subtly toward the security guard standing nearby, who straightened instantly, ready to act. Olivia felt her cheeks flush hot with embarrassment, a flurry of emotions washing over her: confusion, hurt, indignation. She glanced around at the surrounding shoppers. Some whispered behind cupped hands, eyes flickering her way and then looking away quickly, as if unsure whether to judge or sympathize. Others stared openly, their looks oppressive and cold. The mall's surroundings suddenly seemed less grand, more suffocating. The marble floors and polished glass were mirrors reflecting her shame back at her. "I think there's been a misunderstanding," Olivia said as gently as possible, her voice almost a whisper. "I have every right to be here." She reached subtly for the small card tucked inside her bag, a token of authorization, but Carla's narrowed eyes didn't soften. "This isn't about rights," Carla snapped, her tone steeled. "It's about maintaining standards. Our customers come here expecting an experience, and that includes who is allowed within these walls." She lifted her chin slightly, as if issuing a challenge. "I won't apologize for keeping our space exclusive." The security guard took a step forward. Olivia's heart hammered painfully in her chest. She took a breath, summoning the strength she didn't quite feel to steady her voice. "Please, I just want to shop." "Shopping here isn't the issue," Carla said sharply. "It's about the image we uphold." Her eyes gleamed with unyielding certainty. "Security, escort her out." The guard moved closer, his hand reaching toward her arm. In that moment, Olivia felt the weight of every stare, every whispered comment, every judgment packed into those few words. Her chest tightened, tears prickling the corners of her eyes, but she forced herself not to break down. "Not here. Not now." Suddenly, a firm voice broke through the rising tension. "That's enough." A man stepped forward beside Olivia, tall, composed, authoritative. His presence commanded immediate attention. His dark eyes locked onto Carla's with quiet intensity. Carla blinked, thrown off balance for half a heartbeat. Then her lips twitched into a tight smile. "And who might you be?" she asked pointedly. The man didn't waver. "I'm Andrew Dean." His gaze shifted to Olivia, full of warmth, the unspoken support unmistakable. "And she is not only welcome here, she owns this mall." A hush fell over the crowd. For a heartbeat, no one spoke, no one moved. The security guard froze in place, his hand retreating slowly. Carla's face paled as the implication of the words settled in. Her eyes flickered from Andrew to Olivia, then back again, disbelief mingling with guarded hostility. "You own this mall?" Carla's voice came strained, like a challenge she didn't expect to lose. Andrew's gaze was steady and unwavering. "Yes. Olivia is the primary owner, and she is visiting today. She has every right to be here, and no one is to question her presence." The gathered shoppers, witnesses to the unfolding drama, began murmuring among themselves. Expressions shifted from judgmental to astonished, some smiles breaking out in surprise, while others looked sheepish, suddenly aware of their own assumptions. Olivia's cheeks burned, but this time with a different flame, one of quiet vindication. She lifted her chin just slightly, feeling Andrew's steadying hand on her shoulder. He spared Carla one last look, a silent communication that the confrontation was over. Carla's posture stiffened as she regrouped. The elegant mask was slipping but still there. "I must have been mistaken," she said through clenched teeth, her voice clipped. "Enjoy your shopping, then." She turned and swept away, her heels clicking sharp against the polished floor. Olivia exhaled deeply, the tension ebbing slowly. She looked around at the crowd, the shifting eyes, the changing energy, some faces filled with newfound respect, others with regret. She felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her, but also the surge of something else, resilience. Andrew gave a small, comforting smile. "You okay?" Olivia nodded, her voice soft but steady. "Yes. Thank you." They began walking slowly through the mall, their footsteps light against the marble, as whispers trailed after them like shadows. Olivia's thoughts tumbled over themselves, the humiliation she'd experienced, the assumptions she'd faced simply because of how she looked, and the unexpected rescue that had come so quietly but decisively. As they passed the boutiques again, Olivia caught fleeting glances, some admiring, some envious, others still struggling to reconcile her presence with who they'd imagined she must be. But most importantly, she felt the undeniable truth: she belonged here just as much as anyone. More, perhaps, because she had fought quietly to build this place into something more than a mall, a space meant for community, for inclusiveness. The incident left Olivia restless. She knew Carla's dismissal was about more than personal snobbery. It reflected a mindset that still too often defined people by appearances and assumptions. Olivia wanted to confront that, not just for herself, but for everyone who felt unseen or out of place in moments like these. Back in the privacy of their car, Andrew reached over and took her hand. "Don't let it get to you," he said gently. "They're only threatened by what they don't understand." Olivia looked out the window, watching shoppers begin to move home as daylight softened. "It's hard not to," she whispered. The sting of humiliation lingered, but beneath it was a spark, a resolve to change the story people told about her and those like her. Andrew squeezed her hand. "You're not alone in this. We'll change things together." Olivia smiled faintly, drawing strength from his words. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be simple. The mall was more than a collection of stores, it was a symbol of inclusivity she wanted to nurture. And that meant facing moments like this head-on, turning hurt into progress. The mall lights dimmed with the setting sun, shadows stretching across corridors filled now with fading footsteps. Olivia inhaled slowly, steadying herself, ready for the challenges to come. The confrontation might have left her shaken, but it hadn't defeated her. Around her, the world was changing, whether those around her knew it yet or not. And Olivia Dean would be at the center of it all, not just as the owner of the mall, but as a woman demanding respect and dignity in every space she graced. The atmosphere inside the mall remained electric with surprise when Andrew's words hung in the air. Olivia Dean owns this mall. Yet, despite the assertion, some lingering skepticism flickered among the crowd. Carla, still radiating discomfort, tried to recover her composure but found herself facing an unexpected challenge. Olivia was about to prove herself in a way no one anticipated. Olivia's gaze swept across the gathering shoppers and mall employees who had slowly resumed their routines but still kept discreet watch on the unfolding scene. "If you don't believe I belong here," she began with calm determination, "then let me show you why." Her voice carried a quiet strength that silenced murmurs, drawing all eyes back. She gestured toward a digital kiosk displaying the mall's upcoming community events and development plans. "I've always believed this mall can be more than a place for shopping. It's a place where community thrives. I'm personally involved in every project you see here, from the local art exhibitions to the mentorship programs for young entrepreneurs." Carla's lips parted but no words came. The shock of Olivia's confidence was evident. The shoppers leaned forward, interested now, curiosity overriding any residual judgment. Olivia pulled her phone from her tote and tapped the screen. She opened a video message from a recent town meeting where she had spoken about sustainable development and support for minority-owned businesses housed within the mall. The video showed Olivia articulating her vision with passion, answering questions from residents, and discussing measurable improvements in employment and community engagement. As the video played on the large screen, some shoppers exchanged impressed glances. Others whispered their newfound respect for the woman who had, beneath her modest appearance, helped build an institution shaping lives around them. Taking a deep breath, Olivia continued. "I'm not just an owner in name. I've spent years working to ensure this mall represents an inclusive, dynamic space. That's why I dress simply, to stay connected with people from all walks of life, to remind myself why this place matters beyond luxury." She looked directly at Carla, who was biting her lip, fighting an internal war. "This mall is for everyone. Not just those who fit a certain image." For a moment, silence ruled the room, broken only by the faint hum of footsteps and distant conversations. Then, a middle-aged woman stepped forward hesitantly. "I had no idea," she said softly. "I'm sorry I judged you." Others nodded in agreement, including a young man in a sales uniform who admitted, "I always thought you were just a visitor like anyone else. But hearing your vision, it's inspiring." Carla lowered her eyes briefly, then cleared her throat. I apologize for my earlier remarks, Olivia," she said, her voice softer now. "It was wrong for me to judge you based on appearance." Olivia inclined her head graciously. "Thank you. Recognition is a start." From the crowd, a few employees who had been watching approached Olivia, shaking her hand, expressing admiration for her hands-on leadership and the tangible improvements she'd fostered in staff training and customer experience. Andrew stepped beside her, clearly proud but keeping his focus on Olivia. The moment revealed layers of strength beneath her calm demeanor. This was no debutante displaying suddenly unveiled genius. This was the quiet result of years spent building, learning, and leading with empathy and vision. Carla lingered near the back, her posture uneasy but thoughtful. The veil of exclusivity she had wielded so tightly was unraveling before her eyes. She realized the harsh judgment she'd cast was a barrier not just to Olivia but to many others who might feel alienated in such spaces. As the crowd began to disperse, Olivia took the opportunity to invite Carla personally. "We're launching a new customer service initiative soon," she said warmly. "I'd like you to be part of the team developing it. We all have room to grow." Carla looked up, a flicker of surprise and relief crossing her features. "I'd like that," she admitted. The day's events had shifted not just public perception but internal dynamics. Olivia's ability to excel when challenged, her knowledge of the mall's operations, her commitment to inclusivity, rewrote the script for those who had underestimated her. Shoppers who had been skeptical moments ago now moved with quiet respect, many searching for more information about the programs Olivia championed. Employees shared notes of admiration and newfound pride in their workplace. Later, as Olivia prepared to leave, a reporter from a local newspaper approached with a shy smile. "Ms. Dean, would you share your story? Many would like to know more about the person behind this mall's transformation." Olivia agreed, recognizing the importance of visibility, of breaking down superficial judgments through genuine connection and transparency. The reporter's questions dug deep into her motivations, her roots, and her vision, all of which Olivia answered with candid grace. Throughout the interview, Olivia balanced humility and authority, reconnecting with her own narrative. Each answer reaffirmed a truth often lost beneath appearances: substance matters more than surface, and leadership shines brightest when rooted in compassion. As the sun dipped behind the city skyline, Olivia Dean walked back through the mall's bright corridors, no longer just a visitor or a figure to be doubted, but a woman fully recognized for her strength, her vision, and her rightful place. Carla, watching from a distance, felt a quiet reckoning unfold inside her. The encounter had unsettled her assumptions and opened a door for reflection. Change wasn't always easy, but in that moment, it felt necessary. The mall itself seemed transformed, not by bricks or mortar, but by the courage of one woman to stand firm in the face of narrow judgment and to reveal the true heart of a community space. As Olivia stepped out into the cooling evening air, she felt the familiar mix of exhaustion and hope settle over her. Today had been a challenge, but also a victory, a declaration that potential often lies beneath the surface, waiting to be seen. Around her circled a new current of respect and possibility, the promise that old biases could be broken, and that every person, regardless of dress or background, could claim their space with dignity. The story hadn't ended. It had only just begun. Olivia's simple white blouse and worn jeans were more than just a casual choice. Those clothes were a quiet statement, a reminder of where she came from and what grounded her in the frantic pace of her life. Though she owned the sprawling mall that now buzzed with life and excitement, Olivia Dean rarely dressed to flaunt her status. Instead, she preferred to keep herself approachable, an unassuming figure who blended seamlessly into the tide of shoppers and staff. Her journey to this point was not one paved with luxury. Born and raised in a small town on the outskirts of the state, Olivia's childhood was steeped in community values. Her parents ran a modest grocery store, where she spent countless hours stocking shelves, greeting customers by name, and learning the rhythms of hard work. The simplicity of those days left a lasting impression, a reminder that success was not measured by wealth or appearance but by connection and integrity. After college, Olivia ventured into the corporate world, where she quickly realized that the polished environments and glittering offices were often detached from the realities of ordinary people. What kept her rooted were frequent trips to volunteer in communities struggling to find opportunity and support. She witnessed firsthand the power of spaces that could foster connection, hope, and growth, spaces like the mall she would one day come to own. Her acquisition of the mall had been the culmination of years of effort, driven not by ambition alone but by a vision to transform the center into more than a luxury marketplace. Olivia saw potential where others saw just property. She envisioned a vibrant hub that welcomed all, a place that intertwined commerce with community, hosting art exhibits by local creators, setting up mentorship programs for aspiring entrepreneurs, and organizing events that reflected the diverse cultures of the surrounding neighborhoods. It was this vision that informed every decision she made, from the tenants she selected to the decor that mixed elegance with warmth. She chose to move quietly among her patrons, often veiling her executive status under the guise of modest attire, wanting to experience the mall through their eyes, to understand what it truly needed. Her modest style was also a reflection of her respect for the work she saw in others. Seeing store clerks, cleaners, and security staff pour themselves into daily duties with dignity inspired her. In dressing like any shopper, Olivia rejected the trappings of privilege that could create distance, instead building bridges of empathy. The events of the day, especially the confrontation with Carla, confirmed how often appearance alone dictated assumptions. But Olivia's approach was not to react with anger or entitlement but to lead with example, demonstrating through action the inclusiveness she championed. Later that evening, Andrew and Olivia sat together in their quiet home overlooking the city lights. The day's drama settled into the background as they shared a meal, the comfort of their partnership anchoring her. "I worry about Carla," Andrew said thoughtfully. "She's always been rigid about image, but today, I saw a crack. Maybe this is the start of a change for her." Olivia nodded. "People often fear what challenges their worldview. I'm hopeful she'll embrace growth. It benefits us all to open our minds." Andrew smiled, his hand gently brushing hers across the table. "I've never seen you more resolute. What drives you isn't just business, it's heart." "It has to be," Olivia said with a small smile. "Because if it's only profit, then what's the point?" Her life was a delicate balance, a blend of executive responsibility and genuine connection to the people who made the mall alive and meaningful. She often found herself late at night making calls to organizers, checking in on new initiatives or listening to concerns from employees. Her presence was felt in daily details as much as grand plans. The next morning, Olivia returned to the mall, this time with a renewed sense of purpose. She stopped by the small cafe where regular customers greeted her warmly, unaware of her position until she shared a quiet smile or a nod. She visited the art gallery, where a local painter thanked her for the opportunity to display work. The mall had become a tapestry of stories, dreams interwoven with commerce. Her approachable spirit was contagious. Employees began to trust their owner not as a distant figure but as a leader genuinely invested in their well-being. Training programs included sessions on empathy and diversity, designed in part to address the very attitudes Carla had displayed. Carla herself had stepped into a new chapter. After their conversation, Olivia had offered her a role on the customer service initiative team, a task Carla accepted hesitantly but with sincerity. Over time, Carla attended workshops and spent hours shadowing staff who exemplified kindness and respect, gradually shedding the rigidity of exclusivity. It was a subtle transformation, one not marked by grand gestures but by small acts of kindness and changing perceptions. Carla began greeting customers differently, listening more, judging less. Olivia's hands had shaped not only buildings and stores but also the culture within, a culture where everyone could find respect regardless of attire or background. Sometimes, Olivia reflected on how close she had come to being driven away earlier that day, how judgment had nearly erased her place in her own mall. But those moments only deepened her commitment to dismantling barriers for anyone who felt unseen. Her story was a reminder that leadership demanded more than business acumen. It required humility, courage, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. As she stood in the central atrium of the mall, surrounded by the lively hum of conversations and footsteps, Olivia felt a profound sense of fulfillment. This was her vision manifest, a living, breathing community where differences were celebrated and dignity was extended to all. The mall wasn't just a shopping destination. It was a reflection of who Olivia Dean was, a woman grounded by her past, driven by compassion, and determined to create spaces where every person belonged. And though she dressed simply, her presence filled the place with a quiet power that no designer garment could match. The future, she realized, held endless possibilities, and she was ready to embrace them, one genuine connection at a time. Carla's world had shifted in subtle but profound ways since that day in the mall's gleaming atrium. The sharp confidence she once wielded like armor had softened, replaced by a growing awareness of the impact her judgments carried. The initial embarrassment of being publicly corrected gave way to thoughtful reflection during the long hours she spent navigating a new customer relations role that Olivia herself had extended to her. At first, the transition was jarring. Carla had been accustomed to directing mall protocol with strict adherence to image and exclusivity. Now, she found herself attending diversity and empathy workshops, activities she had once dismissed as trivial but would soon see as necessary. The sessions exposed her to stories of resilience, dignity, and the richness of varied experiences, shaking assumptions she hadn't known were deeply held. Her colleagues, some initially skeptical of her newfound openness, soon noticed a shift in her demeanor. Carla began greeting patrons more warmly, listening intently rather than judging. She sought out the employees who had previously felt invisible, offering genuine thanks for their hard work. Slowly, the walls Carla had built around her perceptions crumbled, replaced by a sincere desire to foster inclusiveness. The management team, considering recent events, decided to make her transition permanent, reassigning her officially to customer relations. The decision was met with mixed feelings, but Carla embraced it, viewing it as an opportunity for redemption rather than punishment. She reached out to Olivia privately, thanking her for the chance to grow. Olivia, ever gracious, welcomed the apology and expressed her belief in second chances. This shift rippled beyond Carla. The mall staff adopted new training programs emphasizing respect and understanding, encouraged by Olivia's example. Shoppers and employees alike began to feel a palpable warmth replacing the once rigid atmosphere. Olivia's vision of the mall as a true community hub was becoming reality. For Olivia, the vindication was less about personal victory and more about transformation. The public confrontation had tested her patience and resolve but ultimately strengthened her commitment to leading with humility and integrity. She savored moments when employees came to her with ideas or concerns, knowing she had fostered an environment where voices mattered regardless of title or dress. She and Andrew walked through the mall on a mild evening, the hum of happy customers and gentle music filling the space. Shoppers paused to greet Olivia warmly, kids waved, and vendors smiled, their gratitude visible in subtle gestures. Andrew glanced at her with pride. "You've changed this place and touched many lives. I don't think people will ever judge so quickly here again." Olivia smiled softly. "It wasn't easy. But I believe people can grow when given space and understanding." As they passed Carla, who was assisting a customer with renewed kindness, Olivia felt a pulse of satisfaction. The woman who had once underestimated her was now an ally in the ongoing mission. Later, word spread that Carla had organized a community event focused on celebrating diversity within the mall, an initiative endorsed and supported by Olivia herself. This event brought together artisans, performers, and small business owners from the local region, reinforcing the mall's role as a welcoming space. The transformation did not erase past mistakes but acknowledged them, allowing room for learning and reconciliation. Carla's regret was genuine, and Olivia's forgiveness was gracious, a testament to the strength found in empathy. Their story resonated beyond the walls of the mall, inspiring conversations about appearance, assumptions, and the power of leadership that embraces inclusivity. Olivia's journey from quiet shopper to mall owner who had to command respect in an unexpected confrontation became a narrative shared in community forums and local papers, not for scandal but for its message, the importance of seeing beyond surface and embracing humanity. As the mall's lights dimmed on another day, Olivia reflected on the path she had walked. The bumps and challenges were reminders of the work yet to be done but also proof that change was possible. She looked forward to new projects, expansion of the mentorship programs, green initiatives, and partnerships aimed at supporting underrepresented groups. Each plan was a thread in the tapestry she was weaving, a tapestry her community would help create. Before leaving, Olivia addressed her social media followers, sharing a heartfelt message: respect and kindness create spaces where everyone belongs. Let's continue building those spaces together. She invited viewers to share their thoughts. What would you have done if faced with the same situation? Let me know in the comments. Ending her message with a warm smile, she added, "If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe. See you in our next story." The screen faded as the mall and its community entered a new chapter, one shaped by empathy, resilience, and the courage to challenge outdated perceptions. Olivia Dean stood not only as the owner of a mall but as a symbol of leadership that transforms through compassion, reminding everyone that dignity is a right, not a privilege.